Okay, let's talk about under. Let's talk about, so we got Frisco and Arizona. We'll start with Frisco. But either one, let's say, in either one of these defenses, where are we getting our run support from? From the flex side. Will that ever change? No. Okay, let's talk about our adjustments. Now, obviously, we got the mic behind the ball. When we're getting our, let's talk about Frisco first, because once you learn Frisco, you know Arizona. Okay? When we go, if we're getting our run support from the flex side, okay? In Frisco, we're getting it from who? Right there. Free safety. So does that mean D-line, Kevin Williams? Does that mean we're playing a regular 3 or a heavy 3? Why are we playing a heavy 3?
Because Will is in a non-pass conflict.
Sort of. Let's say if they run lead, what kind of run technique does Mike have in this defense? He's a lever player. So if we get lead solid and we get run over the top, the Will linebacker's spilling, so he's got to go, right? Okay? So what does that mean? What do we got to make sure we do? So what gap would that give the free safety now when that happens, Broderick? What gap does he have? If we didn't do anything with the 3 technique, what gap would the free safety have to play, bud? The A gap. Okay? Is that going to be easy for him to get in that A gap from where he lines, from 10 yards deep? No. So when we do that, when we're fitting with a guy from this depth, we want to definitely play heavy. That means we want to squeeze that A gap off, because that makes it a lot easier fit on this free safety to go into the B gap or a severely reduced A gap. Okay, we understand that. Does everybody understand that? So, knowing that, is it a lot easier for that 3 technique to squeeze that A gap with the nose in a shade or the nose in a 2-eye? Huh? Nose in a shade, right? What else does that buy us, D-line? What would be another hard play for the free safety to have to play, knowing that the Will linebacker is flowing over the top on run? If he goes, is that going to be easy if he's going here and the Will linebacker's going over here? Is it easy for the free safety to get there? So what do we want to make sure happens in under when we get when they have a power? What do we want to have happen when we have a shade? A fold. Because then when they're blocking it like this and we get the fold to happen, now the free safeties just fill where needed. He doesn't really have a gap anymore. So it's going to help us on the lead to be in the shade, and it's going to be a lot easier to get the fold when you're in a shade too, right? Because we're not going to be able to get that shade out of a 2-eye. So, knowing that, when you guys hear Frisco or Arizona, something a West Coast city, and we are in under, we're thinking, first of all, from the nose, we're thinking shade. When you guys hear an East Coast defense, like we talked about last week, for the most part, what are you thinking? More what? More 2-eye. Okay? You guys understand that? That ain't always going to hold true, but if you stay there, if you start there, we can always work back the other way. But we are always going to be Frisco, Arizona. We are going to start in a shaded defense, okay? So, knowing that, those runs, what's the buck? What is his run technique and pass technique, Thomas Brown? What is that called? What are you playing? Huh? We force against a run. What are you calling that versus pass? What are you? What is your pass technique? What do we call that when you got first thing to the flat? Curl flat player. There you go. So we got a curl flat, and He's a force player. Okay, Mike, you are a lever player, right? What are you playing versus a pass, Santos? Hook to 3. So you know that on any action to the solid side, where are you going to transfer your eyes to? All the time. Will linebacker, what's your run technique? Spill, and what's your pass technique? So any action to the solid side, where are your eyes going to go? Always to the tight end, because that's always your number one threat. Okay? Pretty simple. Okay? You're taking first to the flat. We got 3 on 3 here, and we got 4 deep. Okay? Where's your help going to come from, corner? If you're going to pick up any help, where's it going to come from? Inside or outside? Inside. Okay? Are you in the run support strong safety? No, you're not. You're just a fill where needed, keep the ball in your inside shoulder type player. You're extra. Okay? It's 1, 2, 3. Okay? We're going to stay in a shade until what happens? What makes us get out of a shade, and who's going to make that call? What's the call that's going to get us out of a shade and get us out of a 5? A G call. When will that happen? Huh? No, well, first of all, let's not talk about formations. Let's talk concepts. What is going to make us get out of a shade 5?
We're falling.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, first of all, is a base roll. Let's put the quarterback under center first. Okay, and what is? Let's say we put a fullback out here or out here, or anywhere there. What is a buck going to do when that happens? Huh? So when the buck's normal alignment and under is slightly outside, foot to foot of that down tight end. Okay? When the buck, anytime in under, which is Frisco or Arizona, that our buck has to walk out and adjust off of that normal alignment, he should always say GGG. Because as soon as you walk, we want to put the end to a 6, and that means we'll put the shade to a 2-eye. Okay? If they align like that, that's automatic G. If no matter how far I gotta go, if he goes out there and we're gonna go to palms out there, same thing, we're gonna go to G. Okay? Any questions about that? Anytime you gotta walk off your normal alignment, would that mean we gotta G that? The fullback's over here? No, because you didn't move. Okay? He didn't move. If he comes back, now you G it. Okay? It's more important, understand, if they align in that position, what happens most of the time? If they motion like this, okay? Would you want to G that? Why not, Thomas?
He didn't go outside of where I'm already lined up at. Well, I'm originally supposed to be lined up at. He didn't go outside.
Exactly. Okay? So, if he's in there, because what more than likely, what play are we going to get out of that if they do that? What are they going to run usually, if they're going to run the football out of that? What are they going to run? Huh? What are they going to run? What do they like to run? What we talked about the other day, what do they like to run out of near eye? What? Huh? Yeah, but if they run this way, if they do that, they're giving themselves an angle to run power, in which case we want to get a what when they run power? Vincent, what do we want to get there? We want to get a fold, so it's a lot easier to get a fold out of a shade than if we go G. We're not giving ourselves the best opportunity to get that fold. So therefore, that G happens, if it's more of a 2-back looking set, we don't want to G it. If they line in a 1-back set there, or they align here, or they motion all the way out here, now I got to go, because now we don't have to worry about power anymore. That's when we want to make the G call. Okay? You guys understand that base roll? Okay? Okay, now, one thing that we didn't talk about during the spring. If they give us a pair, okay? If we just went off of just base rules, okay, in Frisco, and we said, okay, what would that make our lever player? What gap would that make the lever player if we just said, okay, like if we were in, like, and that guy was going to be up here, what gap would the Mike linebacker have? He'd have the D gap, right? So we put him here, and we put the Will all the way over there. Okay? Is that going to be easy for that free safety to go ahead and play that gap if they just run zone? Not an ideal situation, right? So we will leave our linebackers, even though I'm technically a lever player and I'm technically a spill player, when they line in a one-back set like that, we will gap you guys out here and flow our gaps. That's why we're G'ing it. Okay, so if they do run outside zone there, who's in essence going to make that tackle right there? Even though in a two-back set he's not in the fit. Who are we going to pick up there that we normally wouldn't have? Huh? Right there. Okay? So therefore, if we get, so we're hard in these gaps, we're hard here with a 6 technique. Is that ball going to get to that gap very quickly? Guys? And under? It's not. So we're just going to go ahead and keep the ball between these two guys, which is going to put the strong safety into that gap. Okay? We all understand that? Because we don't want to go ahead and take our alignments all the way over here because we're just going to weaken ourselves too much to the flex side and put this guy in too tough a situation. Okay? So basically, when they line up in a one-back set, in a one-back set, we don't call this a lot versus 12, but if we did, basically one Mike and the Will, you guys are basically lining up in your A and B gaps. Okay? And the safeties will make us right. Okay? We're still going to play heavy over here. Okay? We're always heavy with the 3 technique in this defense. Okay? Who's our adjuster? Who are adjusters in this call? Meaning, who adjusts to one-back sets in a pro set? Who adjusts to the solid side? And who adjusts to the flex side? Is that any different than we do an over? So is it any different how we got to go ahead and look outside of us to align and get our alignments right? No. Okay, so we're always cover 4 on this side, right? Free safety? Unless what happens? What would take us out of cover 4? If we put the fullback here or a tight end there, are we still in cover 4? What if we put the guy out there? Are we still in cover 4? What are we going to play now? Palms. So when the Will walks, what does the Will always have to do when he walks to play palms? Always have to do something, spike or do something to get that A-gap taken care of. Okay? Just like what? Just like over defense. Anytime you're on a flex side, you got to walk. You got to go ahead and put him in there. Okay? Any questions about that? Are we always cover 4 over on this side? Until what happens? Until they do that, right? Then what are we going to go to? Palms. What else is that buck going to do? Do to the front. What are we going to do, linebackers? Do what to the front when you got to walk? There you go. G, that makes it a wide corner. We stay gapped out. We can play ball. Okay? Any questions with that? Pretty easy stuff, correct? So we are going to play cover 4 until they open us up, until they break the core of the formation. Once they do that, then we're going to adjust out and we're going to play palms on one side or the other. The other side will say 4. Okay? Go ahead, Harvey.
Come out to the left, still gonna go palms, and then come to the right.
We will still, that's what I was trying to get at, Harvey, is that imagine they go like this. Imagine we're just like this, okay? And they go ahead and they motion out there and that quarterback's under center, okay? And this buck walks. We're gonna G the front. That's why I say in under, I'm just gonna leave that Mike and the Will in that A and B gap, okay? So whether that guy stops here or goes out, once now this side of the defense is going to be more in the run fit. Because if we bump our linebackers all the way over here, and they just go as, so this guy, and they just run belly there, are you going to be able to make that play? It's a bitch, right? That ain't easy to do. So we're going to leave these guys gapped out here. We're going to G the front, and we're going to get our run support from there when it goes to any form of trips. And that means pair trips or trips open. Okay? So if I'm the free safety and that thing, and they go ahead, even if they line up and go over here, I'm still worried about if that guy comes back over, right? So it becomes more like a flow defense versus a one-back set. I haven't talked a lot about that because I didn't want to confuse the issue, but I think now is the time to talk about that in a little more detail. Okay? Because I don't want to I'll bump you guys over if it's man coverage. Because now I got a free safety up in the box. At cover 4, I ain't going to put that guy in that situation. It's a lot easier for him to fill against a pair than bump these guys over and have him do it. Okay? We all understand that? Go ahead.
I think part of what Harvey was asking there is 2 back, wide flex. We've been leading because the fit still came from the flex out of the defensive line.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because we talked about that the other day, right? Will that change us anything that we do ever? A 2-back wide flex, that isn't breaking the core. As long as it's 2 backs, that's still cover 4 over there, and we still get our run support from the weak side, from the flex side. Okay? Now, I won't get into that, but if this guy was to move on out, I'm still going to stay in the A gap, and the Mike linebacker's going to walk halfway, and we'll trio it or something. Okay?
So if it's 2 guys,
yeah, you don't have to palms. Why? Why don't we need the palms at? It's important you guys understand this now, okay? Think about it like this, Coop. Okay? When we're in under, we have Mike, Will, and free safety that are lever, spill, and lever, okay? He's a force player, so his gap is right there, okay? When we take this guy and move him out, do any of our gap responsibilities change? Now the Bucks still curl flat, and that's still his gap, because we still have an end here in this gap, okay? So, you guys understand that? So the integrity of our lever, spill, lever hasn't changed, so we don't have to make any adjustment. Now, on the other hand, let's talk about an over defense real quick. Okay? We're in an over defense now. So we got our Will here, our Mike here, and our Buck here. So who is our 2 lever players? Lever, spill, and lever. And we have an end in a 6 technique. Okay? So now when this guy walks out, he's in the run fit, right? So I'm talking about Pittsburgh here, okay? So now when he walks out, what's the Will got to do? He's got to spike it. We have to palms that side, Harvey. Why? Because he's still in the fit. He was in the fit, and he's still in the fit. Okay? Now, let's go to this. Now, you answer this question for me now, Harvey. Now we call Camden. Now what's the Will? He's a force player now. Now the Mike and the Buck are lever and spill, right? So if we walk this guy out, what can we play over on this side? 4. Why don't we have to do so? Why don't we have to go palms there? Somebody tell me that. Yeah, because he wasn't a lever or spill player. So he walks out, he's force, he stays force, and we can still get our run support from actually be the corner here, like that. Because they didn't change the integrity of our run fit. Is that really confusing for you guys, or do you guys understand that?
So whenever you're forced, you're either in a big
if they take the force player, if we have something, we have a force player, so we start out with a linebacker being the force player, either the Buck or the Will. So that is Frisco or Camden, and they walk him out. We don't have to make any adjustment whatsoever. Okay? Say again? Right. His gap didn't change, right? Does that make sense to everybody or no? Because if not, it's worth us spending the time to make sure that you guys are all on the same page there, safeties and linebackers. Go ahead, Tom.
As long as they don't break like the two-back check in the backfield, then we can always play whatever we in.
Basically, yeah. Okay. Now, the other way you can look at it, Harvey, is, okay, if let's say we were in Pittsburgh, okay? Let's say we started out here in Pittsburgh. We're going to flow that, right? So if the safety was going to be in the run fit, okay, what gap would you possibly have? The D gap. So you in essence are the D gap player, right? Well, now if they walk him out, is there a possibility of there being a D gap anymore? Not really, right? I mean, it'd be hard. I mean, so when the Will walks out here, basically the end is going to keep that ball inside, right? So when that guy walks out, Harvey, are we going to count on you to be fast on the run now? So now we're still going to flow it, but we're going to flow between that guy and that guy. Now tell me if you guys don't understand that. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay? And why are we spiking that, Zaire? Because if they run this way, now it's going to be like that, right? Okay? We good there? Everybody understand that? Okay. I hope I didn't confuse the issue there. I hope you guys understand what I'm talking about there. So think about it. If they give us, basically, if they are in a two-back set, ever, even if they flex the Y, we don't really have to make much of an adjustment. Okay? Okay? If it's when they start breaking the core, that's when we got to start making our adjustments. Okay? That's when we have to start making adjustments. Okay? Everybody good there? And that's a base roll. So if I'm a Will linebacker and I know I start in the D gap, and my responsibility is I'm a force player to start, if they adjust me out, I just go out with them, but my technique doesn't change. My alignment will change a little bit, but my technique won't change. I'm still a force player, and I still have that same gap I was originally in. Okay? Okay. So, you guys good on Frisco, on the pro set? Is it, now talk to me about Arizona. Shouldn't be much different, but who's in the run fit now in Arizona, Josh? The flex side corner now. And knowing that corner is all the way out there, Vincent, if we call Arizona, is it any different of how we're going to play it in here or in here? What's the difference of what we're going to do in Arizona because we're using a corner instead of a safety? What are we going to do, Toby, with that defense? We are always going to take care of that. We're going to send somebody into that A gap, either with a pirate or a pop. Okay? So, understand this. What is the most dangerous thing when I call under defense and I'm using that corner? Okay? What is the most dangerous play that would worry me as a defensive coordinator that we're going to get, Toby? Just knowing that our corner, our lever player is out there. What would be the scariest thing that you could get? The hardest thing for us to defend? What kind of inside run? what would make it the furthest that guy has to go? What would they run? How about a power?
Yeah.
Because now that guy's there and that guy's there, that means that corner would have to get all the way to there. Not a great situation, right? So, we said we're going to call pop or pirate with that defense, okay? So if they run power and we run a pop, who's the fold player now? Now the end has got to get all the way over to there, right? And that's real important because that's the worst situation we're going to get in that defense, okay? So if we get a pirate, boom, who's our full player? Huh? How are we teaching that, Coach Kaz?
Well, we're still doing that, Coach,
With the end, right? So what I'm saying is this, because we used to do it. It ain't easy, Thad, is it? To go in there and beat that back block, is it? Not run a good spike. It's pretty hard to do. So if I am the flex side end and I am opposite that solid call, I must feel that guard on my side, whether it's pop or pirate, Avery, because we're going to be a guy short over there if that guard pulls and we don't get over. So a bell better go ringing in my head when we're playing under defense, to be tuned in that if that guard goes, I'm going with it, pop or pirate. Okay, that way our linebackers can do their thing. Okay, now, is it any different? What's the difference pass-wise between Frisco and Arizona linebackers? What are we playing outside now? We're playing clouds outside now. So we have a hard ball corner, and we got a true cloud corner here with the safety playing half. So who do we have to take care of in the passing game? So, just like Frisco, if I get any action to the tight end side, where are my eyes going to, linebackers? To the Y. How can I help him, Buck? Huh? What do I want to do when we're playing Arizona as opposed, what is your pass technique in Arizona? Sort of, yes. But you're basically what? A curl player, right? Okay? And we have you up there. Are we going to do I ask you from that position to carry that tight end down the chute? Because it's almost simple. I'm never going to put you up in a face position on the guy and ask you to run with that tight end down the middle of the field. That's a bitch, because if you miss him, you ain't got any help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you more in a head-up position, have you split his outside leg, and have you beat the tar out of that guy. Okay? I'm going to have you hit him about 2 times and hold him up so the Mike linebacker can handle that responsibility. So what do I want to do if I'm the Buck? I want to stay tight, right? Do I ever want to chase? If he's taking a hard inside release, do I want to chase that? No. All I want to do is get my hands on. And it doesn't have to be for a long time. I'm going to beat him up for a 2 count, and I'm going to let him go. And then you're relating to who? Who's a Buck relating to now? To who? No, not one. That guy means nothing to you. Number what? Who are you relating to? To number 2, which could be one of 3 guys, right? This could be 2, that could be 2, and that could be 2. That's it. No one else has a possibility of becoming your number 2. So your eyes never need to go out there, ever. Okay? Not on your initial reads. So I'm banging him and I'm seeing through to the backs. And this is going to become so if that guy, if my number 2 goes to the flat, what am I going to do now? Huh? You'll take him? You got a cloud out there. Does that make sense? You're relating to 2. But you have a cloud outside of you, which means what? What are you doing in a cloud, Daniel? And what do you got? What's your basic responsibility? You got to play what? In cloud, what is your zone? You got the flat. So if that guy went flat in Frisco, you'd take him. And in Arizona, you got a cloud outside of you. So now what are you going to do? If he's going to take two, what are you going to do? What did I say the other day? That your initial key tells you what to do what? Where to take what? Your eyes. So if your number two's going flat, what am I going to do? I'm going to back up this way and I'm going to take my eyes where? 2 to 1. It's no different than if you were in palms and that 2 went to the flat. You play the curl. Now you're a curl player. Okay? So now let's say they align like this. And I make a G call. I can line pretty much head up on that guy now, right? Play this gap. But any of those two guys can become my number 2. If I'm here, those guys could become my number 2. So I'm going to stay tight on that tight end, even if I get wide action like this. Because if I get wide action out there, what am I going to do? What kind of player am I on the run, Buck? Look what I got out here now. If I align you, would I align you? What did I tell you your alignment was going to be on that guy? Tight and split his outside leg, right? Am I going to ask you to force from that position? Would that be easy to do? There you go. So if I know where I'm going to align, I know what kind of player am I versus against run now. You ever heard of that technique? Bounce? It's just like you do in, what do you guys call that in Vegas?